today is I'm Carolyn Peterson, and I'm with the Washington State Library, Library Development, as is my co-moderator, Jennifer Fenton. You've already heard Jeremy Stroud is our technical producer, who is the one who makes all of this come together and work for us. We're very appreciative of that. And then today's presenter is Marina Parr, and she works in communications for the state's Workforce Board. This agency is focused on helping Washington residents get the education and training they need to get those all-important living wage jobs. This is a new tool that the workforce, what we're going to be previewing today, the Career Bridge, was launched in 2009. And Marina gives presentations across the state on how to use this new tool. And so that's what she's going to do for us today, is hopefully you will share this with your reference librarians, and other people will come to it later on and find out about how they can use this in helping people get jobs. So with that, I will hand it over to our guest speaker.
Thank you, Carolyn. It's great to be here. Thanks for joining us on this Illuminate tour. I am new to Illuminate, so bear with me, everyone. As Jeremy said, you can feel free to ask a question, I guess by typing the question in or by raising your hand or just speaking on your microphone. But basically, the Career Bridge, we're going to show you some slides to start the presentation, right, Jeremy? So.
Yes.
Okay.
Just a second.
Sorry. While he's getting those slides. Okay.
Just the other way.
Okay. So to start off with, I will give you more of a tour of Career Bridge, but Career Bridge, as an overview, it has over 5,000 education and training programs in one place. And what that means is that whether your person is looking for maybe a one-week course or a one-year certificate or a two-year associate's degree or even a four-year bachelor's degree, all of those education programs can be found in one place on Career Bridge. We also just recently added apprenticeships, so we're trying to be as comprehensive as we can be so that whatever level of education people are seeking, they can find it here. And why is this so important is because a lot of times I think websites divide the types of education content that's provided. We want to make sure that people can see all of their options, and because Career Bridge is a state website, of course this is free to the public. So this slide we're looking at right now shows the heart of Career Bridge, which is the Find Education and Training portion, which is where people are searching for a particular career and seeing where they might be able to get the training for it. So this is a page you'll see often when you use this website. We'll click the next one. So a person will then search by job title or training program. On Career Bridge, we have about 750 job titles and about 350 training programs, and these are taken from the ONET, which is from the U.S. Department of Labor, is how we got those job titles and training programs. So a person would select that job title, and then we can go to the next slide. They could also search by a training provider. We have an extensive list of training providers that you'll see in these drop-down boxes. The Workforce Board, among our many duties, we license private career schools, meaning the schools that are such as Ashmead, DeVry, smaller schools, all of them that offer training that lasts up to 2 years. So that's part of our function as an agency, and so you'll see there's such a wide range that people can look at when they're looking for a provider. The other box you see down there is you could select by training provider type. So if a person was searching for, say, an apprenticeship, they could click on apprenticeships and see all the types of apprenticeships offered in Washington State. Okay, let's go to our next slide. The next part of your search would be by location. You'll see that the state of Washington is divided into 12 areas. If this was a presentation where I could see all your smiling faces, I would ask you, why is this state divided into 12? Does anyone know the answer to that? You can raise your hand or type in your answer. Does anyone know? Are people typing? Okay. Okay. Oh, thanks. Actually, the reason that the state of Washington is divided into 12 is that we have 12 regional workforce development areas. They're called WDAs. every workforce development area has a WDC. This is some insider knowledge that will be helpful for you to understand. These are called Workforce Development Councils. So WDC is a Workforce Development Council. In your spare time, you might want to find your local Workforce Development Council. These councils represent business and labor and government, and they get together and they try to find out the best places for people to get education and training. They set up education and training programs. They have grants that run through them. But at any rate, that's a good partner to have for you if you're helping someone trying to find the education and training they need to get a job, for example. A good source for that information would be their Workforce Development Council. So that's a little aside, but that's why we have the 12 sections there. A person could also choose by county. So suppose you live in Thurston County, or it looks like someone's from Port Townsend. I think that's probably Jefferson County. They could click on the county, or they could even click on the zip code to do their search. So basically, just to recap what I talked about, you would search by a job title or training program. You'd pick one of those. You could search by the provider, so if you knew what school you wanted to go to, or you could find out, say, just if you wanted to look at apprenticeships. And then you can search by location, showing this by region, by county, or by zip code. Of course, when you do these searches, you can just search under one category or all three of them. So it's up to you how refined your search you want. At the end of all of that, you would hit that blue box at the bottom that says Show Results right here. And then you'd find out what actually happened. So I don't know if that's probably the last slide we have, right, Jeremy?
Okay, yes, she's on. We're on the process now of switching over to the web. So bear with us while we get some technical difficulties here. We're just coming into we're going to switch over, and now she's going to give us a tour of the actual website. Now, Jeremy, is there anything that we need to know are we going to be able to do anything? Is there something people shouldn't do while we're sharing this application? Anything about it?
Nothing I can think of. Feel free to stretch the screen out so that you see the whole web page if you'd like. I know by default on mine it cut the web page in half, so feel free to stretch it out.
How do you do that?
You can click on the very edge, the very border of the window, and you should get a double arrow. And by clicking when you get that double arrow and then dragging, it will increase the size.
Okay.
Here's the CareerBridge website. Again, some of this is background information for librarians who may not be familiar with terms such as eligible training provider. What is this eligible training provider list we're talking about? I'm going to tell you briefly, just so you understand, that every state has an eligible training provider list, not just Washington, and they always are called eligible training provider lists. This is because the U.S. Department of Labor mandates that every state maintain this list. For programs that are on the list, they have to meet certain employment and earnings outcomes. So that means if a program is on this list, people that qualify for Workforce Investment Act funding, so suppose you have someone who is maybe a low-income person, maybe they recently lost their job and they're a dislocated worker, or maybe they're a young person between the ages of, I think, 14 and 24, and they may be low-income as well. Those are different funding sources for Workforce Investment Act funding, and anybody who uses the WIA program, as it's called, has to go on to a program on the ETP, the Eligible Training Provider list. The same is true for people who are using state training benefits dollars. Again, this is through employment security in this state. Those people also have to search for programs on the Eligible Training Provider list. So the Workforce Board, we had the introduction of what we do at the Workforce Board. One of the things that we've always done is maintain this Eligible Training Provider list. It used to be on an Excel spreadsheet of some kind, and people at WorkSource centers would look it up and say, okay, this program's on the ETP, you can train in this program. So when we built CareerBridge, we folded the eligible training provider list into CareerBridge. So that's just to explain to you why do we have this ETP part. That's the explanation. So first of all, if you're with someone, you might want to go to the Explore Careers portal of CareerBridge. So let's go there first. And this is where a lot of people, haven't really stopped to think about what do they want to do with their rest of their life. That's a big question. They could go first to find their passion by taking an online quiz. We'll click on that together. So a person could sit down. They could use the Where Are You Going career guide that our agency also produces. That's a whole other topic, but I could tell you that the Where Are You Going guide, let's click on this quickly, is a guide that's a hard copy version in some ways of CareerBridge, and this is a free guide. So take a look at it right here. This is on our Workforce Board website. If you wanted to get a Where Are You Going guide, oh, you can't see it? Okay. Me?
We're having some technical difficulties. She went forward and ours doesn't follow it.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So am I back on the right screen, Jeremy?
You are.
Okay.
We're going to try clicking on something to see if we can follow you.
Evidently, each of those links opens in a brand new window, which tries opening it in her original browser window. So we can't click on those links at the moment.
Okay. Okay, that's okay, everybody. So when you have a chance, you guys can go in and click on those things, and you'll see that links to the Workforce Board's Where Are You Going guide. And quickly, the Workforce Board's Where Are You Going guide is a very popular career guide that we print up. It lets people assess their skills and abilities, see how they relate to a career, and then the back of the book has all of the education and training providers so they can see where they can get the education they need to get the job they want. Did that show up on your screen? Oh, it did. So now you can see the guide. This said, this is a really cool guide. You could see right here, you could look at it you could do a download. You could order some more guides from us. They're free. We're printing a new Where Are You Going guide as we speak. It's at the printer right now. It's going to be a new and improved Where Are You Going guide. It's going to be even easier for people to use. So if this is something you think will be a nice tool at your library, and I think it is, you could certainly go back to this page and ask, click on it and get some more guides. Okay, we're going to go back. So if a person wanted to do an online self-assessment, there are plenty of online self-assessment tools here, like the Interest Profiler, the Skills Profiler. By the way, the last link, the Career Interest Survey on checkoutacollege.com, if you clicked on that link, that would take you to an online version of the Where Are You Going guide. It's really cool. The person could do that self-assessment test online without using pencil and paper. So it really is up to your client and seeing what their comfort level is with the internet or not. Another really great tool that's on CareerBridge is the Self-Sufficiency Calculator. I'm going to click on it and see if it goes to that. Did you guys? Okay.
Jeremy is doing some magic to sometimes make this work.
Thank you, Jeremy.
So let's see. It's okay. There is this it?
Yes, this is it. The Self-Sufficiency Calculator is on the CareerBridge website in several places. This is a really great tool that was actually developed at the Seattle-King County Workforce Development Council. Remember those Workforce Development Councils I mentioned earlier? This is a really large one. It's in King County. And they created this calculator so that people could go in and they could see the real cost of living where they live. So whether you live in Omak or Oak Harbor, you could see how much does rent cost in your community, how much does medical cost, how much does child care cost and transportation cost, and then it comes up with a total amount. And this is very helpful for people because they can then figure out, this is what my true bills are. This is my real cost of living. So if I'm going to get a career going, I need to find one that's actually going to cover my costs of living. So I recommend this to all people. If you're working with someone, that you could direct them to this calculator. The other nice thing about this calculator is that it often flags for people whether they may be Medicaid eligible, maybe they're eligible for Working Connections child care assistance. All of those things get flagged by when they enter their own information on their income level. Okay? I kind of lost where I was. That's okay. I'm going to, okay. Oh, that's right. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
We're going back. Is there anyone have any questions while we're getting back in?
Yeah, feel free to ask.
Okay, there we are back.
Okay, go back to, so you've done this online quiz. Hopefully a person has figured out maybe a little bit more about themselves, about their talents, their interests and abilities, and how it links up with a potential career. Hopefully they've used the Self-Sufficiency Calculator to see what their real cost of living is in the community where they live. The next thing that they would want to do is click the Find In-Demand Jobs. Let's click on that. This takes you to a local area demand decline list. So I could click on it. I'm not sure if it will follow me to it. We'll see if it does. But what you're going to see when you click on that link is that it takes you to a listing by workforce development area. Remember those 12 regions. And here you have it. So it shows you, suppose you were in, let's say, whatever region you are. We could go to Eastern Washington. This will show you the occupations that are in demand in this region. So this is showing accountants and auditors as being in demand. You go down this list, then it goes down to not in demand. And then at the very bottom it goes into balanced. So if you were working with someone, it would be good to find out whether they consider this job to be in demand or suppose not in demand, because that would show that it would be harder to find a job in that area. This is a list, by the way, that's generated by Employment Security in conjunction with the local workforce development councils I just mentioned. Okay, I'm going to, do I just click on that box, Jeremy? On this, all right. Okay, so what do I need to do? Okay. Okay. So the next thing a person might do after they've done their self-assessment, they've seen what they want to do, they've seen that it's in demand, hopefully. If they wanted to get more job counseling, they could go to Find Career Counseling. This takes people to their local WorkSource center. This links people, it gives you a list of all the WorkSource centers and where you are, and so you can get connected to the one that's closest to you. And how many people, this might be kind of a sort of an obvious question, but how many people, you could do a little X or a check mark, know what WorkSource is? Go ahead and make a check or an X if you know what WorkSource is. Okay. Good. Some people I've talked to don't know what WorkSource is. It is our reemployment center system for the state. And so people that are unemployed go to WorkSource and they get free job counseling services. And it's a really handy place for people to use phones and faxes, get resume writing tips, all sorts of types of activities like that. Another page that we just added to CareerBridge is Find Apprenticeship Opportunities. I'm going to click on that. This is a kind of a big area. Obviously, apprentices can earn a lot of money. They get to earn while they learn. That means they can get a paycheck while they're learning a trade. And this gives people more information on those options. Okay. The next link below that is Find Military Veterans Programs. You may have a large population of vets in your community or military personnel, and this is a helpful set of pages to look at, especially as it relates to the GI Bill and how to pay for education through that. The next link is Find a Job Fair. And this links people to the WorkSource Job Fair calendar. I'm going to click on it. When it opens up, you'll see all of the job fairs that are listed on WorkSource. And that's kind of helpful for people. There may be one in your area that people don't know about. We're going to click off of that. Did I do it wrong? Okay, all right. Okay. And then the last little tip we have in our Explore Careers portal is the Find Job Search Help. And this is something that you could work with people on or tell people about. They can learn about how to write a resume, job interview tips. This has another link to the Self-Sufficiency Calculator, all sorts of stuff that maybe you and I might take for granted. A lot of people who are new to the workforce system or are maybe at a lower level are not as familiar with this. So this is some really great information for folks. So if you've gone through this with people, they've found what they want to do. They know that it's in demand. They've, maybe worked at, getting, information about job fairs. The next thing they want to know is, how do I pay for it? And our portal here is our Fund Your Training portal. We'll take you to the Fund Your Training part here. This is a really good page on Fafsa, which is what you need to file to see if you qualify for federal financial aid. This gives people some information about the Fafsa, and then it takes them to the U.S. Department of Education website. We like to take people on CareerBridge and help them out a little bit before we then put them onto the main website. So this is some background information on Fafsa. A really great page, if you remember nothing else from the Fund Your Training section, please remember this page. It's the Grants and Scholarships page we're taking you to right now. This page has links to, for example, the washboard.org, which is a new website that's aggregating all of scholarship information in the state. It's especially targeted to low-income students, so if you're looking for scholarship opportunities, you can hit the washboard.org. Below are some grants that we put on this website: the Opportunity Grant, the WAVE Scholarship, which, by the way, the Workforce Board administers the WAVE Scholarship, State Need Grant, Washington Scholars. I always tell people we're proudly Washington-centric. This is very much targeted to someone who lives in Washington and may qualify for some really substantial scholarship money. I'm going to ask you guys another question. How many people use the check mark if you know about the Opportunity Grant? How many people know what the Opportunity Grant is? Seeing some X's. Okay. That's good. Thanks, guys. But the Opportunity Grant, I'm going to just take a second to say what that one is, because it's a really good one for a lot of people you might see at the library. Opportunity Grant is for people who are studying in-demand occupations. Remember, we saw that in-demand occupation list? So every community college in the state maintains their own list of high-demand areas, high-demand careers. So those 34 community colleges may have 2 or 3 of the ones that they've selected. So if that student decides to, say, study accounting, which is usually an in-demand occupation, they can qualify for up to 45 credits, free credits at a community college. It's about 1 year's tuition through the Opportunity Grant. And they can also qualify for some books and supplies and other things. And you really don't have to be totally impoverished to qualify for this grant. A family of 4 can earn up to $42,000 and still qualify for an Opportunity Grant. So it's a great thing for people that are studying in-demand occupations at our state's community colleges. Okay. And I won't go into all the other grants, but I recommend when you have a moment to kind of look around and see what those options are. The other thing is Pell Grants. Of course, if you have someone who's thinking about going back to school, they're going to want to look at Pell Grants. Community college, it doesn't matter where you're going, you could qualify for a Pell Grant that would help pay for your education. The rest of this part of Fund Your Training, you have loans, you have work study, you have tax credits. I'm going to click on tax credits quickly. Tax credits are good for people who may be middle income and not qualify for some of these other types of scholarships because their income level is too high. And yet their income isn't so high that they have a lot of extra money to spare, right? So this is a great option for people who want to go back to school maybe in the evening. They can qualify for a Hope Scholarship tax credit, so at the end of the year they get to take that money they spend on education off their taxes. So that's something to look at later. So a person has done their self-assessment. They've seen what they want to do. They've looked at how to pay for it. We sort of went into the Find Education Training, but I'm going to go with you guys in there one more time just to kind of reiterate how to use this tool. So if you go to the top and hit the magnifying glass, Find Education and Training, this takes you back to this part of the site. And I guess when I click on these plus signs, they're not going to see it. Is that correct, Jeremy?
That's correct. That's the reason why we had the slides earlier.
Yeah. So I'm going to hurry up and do this, and you guys can't see me doing it, but when you go in, you'll know how to do it. I'm going to select an in-demand occupation. I'm going to select accounting technician and bookkeeping. I'm going to then search by location because I know I want to study this and I want to study it where I live. I'm going to pick the Pacific Mountain region, and I'm actually going to try to expand my screen here. I'm going to hit, and remember, after you've done this sorting process, you want to hit the blue box at the bottom. You have to kind of scroll down sometimes to show results. So we're going to hit show results. You're going to see the results I get from my search. This might take a second. But when we get that page open, you'll see So on your screen, are you seeing the results, or still waiting to see if?
Just a minute. We're
okay.
working a little behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's not working. It doesn't look like. We can't. Doesn't look like we're going to be able to see that. There it goes.
Now you go. You got it. Great. This is so. At the beginning of this presentation, I talked to you guys about the fact that the CareerBridge website is very comprehensive. That we have everything from 1 week's training courses to 1-year certificates to 2-year programs. So it's very comprehensive. It includes apprenticeships. The other part of CareerBridge that is so great is that it provides performance results in many cases for these programs. In other words, CareerBridge is also a consumer reports for our residents to see how programs performed. We're going to hit the first program that we see, accounting, AAS, at South Puget Sound Community College, which happens to be here where we're located in Olympia. I'm going to try to get it on there. Okay, yours came on. Mine didn't come on. Okay. So once you find a program that you're interested in, CareerBridge gives you a lot more details on it. So right here you'll see an overview of this particular program at South Puget Sound Community College. You'll see the name of the program contact, his email, his phone number. What's that? You'll see a program description. You'll see the tuition, some real basics about this program. As soon as you select a program on CareerBridge, you'll see there's now 5 tabs at the top of your screen, okay? So the person goes, well, that sounds interesting. I wanted to learn more about South Puget Sound Community College. We're going to hit the second tab, which is Training Provider Details. Are you getting your training provider details? Okay, here's mine. So you should be able to see now more information about South Puget Sound Community College. You're going to be able to see their website, their admissions person, their financial aid person, their worker retraining and vet services people, their names, their phone numbers, their email addresses. Why is this so cool? Because most websites would just, in a typical website, what would happen is we would just give you a link to South Puget Sound Community College's website, right? We just say, here's the link to it. Good luck. But we don't do that on CareerBridge because we know people get lost when they go off to another website like that. We bring all the information together here on our website so you can see it and get connected to the right people right away, okay? We're going to go to the last tab here, which is occupation information. Click on that together. So we're going to find out what types of jobs are related to the program that you're studying for. So if a person decides to study the accounting program, this is the type of occupation that they might be training for. You can see a whole list here. You can see the types of wages that are paid for these particular jobs, and you can see the employment outlook for these jobs. Very important information. Again, this is part of the consumer reports aspect of CareerBridge. This is information supplied by Employment Security, our partners, so we can see accurate, up-to-date information. Next, after you've done that and you've seen, okay, this is what I might want to do, let's click on the third tab, which is employment results. We're still working to refine CareerBridge, by the way, but right now when you hit that tab, you have to do another click, which is that second link down there. We're going to hit View Performance of Related Programs at South Puget Sound.
That's unfortunately one I cannot, we can't walk people through. You have to click it on your own because it will load up a new page.
Okay. So what will happen when you do click on that second link is it will take you to a page that shows employment results. This again is the consumer reports part of CareerBridge. The page that I'm looking at, which I don't think you can see, shows that there's a completion rate of 30%. So only 30% of people completed this particular program at South Puget Sound, but their employment rate was 84%. So people who did complete did get jobs. It also shows you what they earned. They made $20.61 for median hourly earnings, and they made $42,000 for their median annual earnings. Again, this is a great granular look at how people at South Puget Sound Community College actually did. You may recall that the tab at the end was occupation information. It showed wages for particular jobs, right? Those were statewide averages. This particular page that shows employment results is specific to students who took this program at South Puget Sound. It's that specific. So if you went to this page and you said, I don't really like those results. I don't like the fact that people didn't get paid or whatever. That's good information for you to have. In this case, it's pretty positive. They got really good wages, actually, after taking this program. We're going to go to the fourth tab again. I'm sorry you can't follow with me to see this tab, but when you click Student Characteristics, you would have to do that second click, which is at the bottom of your screen there. It would say View Student Characteristics for Related Programs. We are going to improve this website so it will be less cumbersome, but for now you'll have to do a second click. And this gives you information about the students who took this program at South Puget Sound. It shows you the male-female breakdown. It was heavily female. 81% were women taking this program. It shows you the ethnic breakdown of the people taking the program. In this case, 82% white, 10% Asian or Pacific Islander. And what I find most interesting for people that you may be working with is the age breakdown. You can see on CareerBridge that in this particular program at South Puget Sound that 26% of the students were between the ages of 30 and 39, 22% were between the ages of 40 to 49, and 19% were 50 and over. So when you think about that, that is, you know, well over, or like 60% are over age 30 at least. I'm doing my math quickly here. So, you know, you're not going to be the only older student in this class. It's very reassuring to a lot of people who have lost their jobs or are looking for employment. And then at the very bottom of this page, you'll see what type of education level they had when they entered the program. In this case, we had 15% already had an AA when they entered the classroom door, and 17% already had a BA. So it's very clear that people are retraining for these in-demand occupations even when they already have an academic credential. That is a very brief overview of the CareerBridge website. Does anyone have any questions? Not seeing any people.
It looks like we have a couple people typing.
Oh, okay, good. Is any of this available in Spanish? Okay. Okay, great. I have a question. Is this available in Spanish? We have not converted the site to Spanish. We do have CareerBridge information cards that are in Spanish, but it's sort of, even though that's a really nice first step, it's a little bit of a bait and switch because, yes, you have an information card in Spanish, but when you get to the real site, it's in English only at this point. Thank you to Jackson for saying this is a great site. Jackson, my son is named Jackson, so I like that name. Let's see. Eastern Washington District. Yeah.
That we have some people here who from the Eastern Washington University Career Services, and this training was referred to us by the library. So there are libraries who are using it, which is good. Just for those, how many of you had heard of this before we publicized it on First Tuesdays? Would you say yes, no if you hadn't, and yes if you had? Okay. All right, so it's most people hadn't heard about it. Erica, I was wondering what has been your experience in using it you're from Whitman, right? Aren't you from Whitman County? Could you share with us what you might have done or used it?
Well, when we were putting together our website, we researched it pretty heavily for Whitman County Library's work program that we had with the Renew Washington program.
So have you had opportunity at this point in time to use it or not yet? Just been researching it?
Well, we've looked over it and we've used it with some clients that we've worked with, but I'd be really excited to work with it in the school system as a teen services coordinator too.
So you think that's something that we should remember, that our high school, Erica's been, her Renew Washington, or her experience has been that teens also need employment help, and so this is something that you may find useful for them. Anyone else have any?
Oh, I think this would be great for the senior portfolio and senior project classes.
Can I talk to you? But yes, you know, I'm glad you brought up high school age students. you know, CareerBridge really is a broad website. We want high schools to use this website as part of their career planning. The Workforce Board, you probably hadn't even heard of what the Workforce Board was until I started talking to you, but one of the things that we advocate for is career and technical education in our high schools. We would like people to have hands-on relevant learning, and we also like people to be doing career planning. We're big proponents of Navigation 101, for example, and other types of career planning. So this fit really well with that aspect of our agency. We want people in high schools to use CareerBridge, and I've been doing outreach to career technical educators. I was at a conference in Spokane probably 3 weeks ago. There was about 500 educators at that conference who I was trying to tell them about CareerBridge. In high schools, they have many options at this point for doing career exploration, but most of those options cost money. If they do career cruising, for example, that costs the districts thousands of dollars. CareerBridge is free. So we like to tell people this has got great information on it. It's a great career tool, and it also works well with our Where Are You Going guide, which many, many, many high schools use our Where Are You Going guide. So yeah, this is really made for all different age groups, all different needs.
And I think knowing about the consumer education aspect is going to be very helpful. I think that would be exciting because nowadays we see so many, just join us and do 2 years of a technical college and we guarantee that we'll do it. And this actually gives you real time as to how many people actually complete it. I was interested to see that the people who mainly got jobs were in government. Now, how fast, in as much as that was true, how fast is this updated?
That's a great question. And let me also add that that was a great insight by Carolyn, that on the slide that we looked at for South Puget Sound Community College, people taking accounting classes, 55% went to work in the government. Well, that makes sense for this region because government's our largest employer. If you were to look at that slide, suppose you looked at Skagit Valley College or something, if you were over in Mount Vernon and you looked at their accounting program, you probably wouldn't see government as the highest employer. You'd probably see a different employer. So it's very much variable by where the person gets their training that's related to that. Yeah, go on.
Okay, I guess what I meant was that that was certainly true, government was hiring, but now government isn't going to be hiring. So in other words, when would you go in and find out, how often is this updated so that we know, once a year, quarterly, to reflect trends?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are getting new data right now. We are going to be updating CareerBridge in the next month. I estimate in the next month. Our data set that you just were looking at came from, I believe, 2004 to 2005, all the way through 2007. Yes, the magic year 2007. That means our next employment data will be a much harsher picture of our economy. So when we see our 2008 data come in to our agency and we crunch the numbers for CareerBridge, you're going to see a lot less employment. You're going to see lower pay probably in some cases. We have about an 18-month lag to begin with because you have to see how the way Employment Security, I think, crunches figures has to do with 9 months after exit. They have to see where a person's at. Because basically, so not to be too derailed, so CareerBridge is reflective, I think, of about from I think 2004 to 2007, maybe like a 3-year period. So the next month or so, we will be adding 2008 figures and dropping off to 2004, 2005. So it will be more like 2005 through 2008. Does that make sense? We're always going to be behind because you can't, because of the way the data is collected, you can't go any faster. Really, but even though that's true, this website, for example, when you looked at the demand decline list that we have on here, that's through Employment Security, they tend to update their demand decline list for occupations about once a year if they can. So you could do a reality check with, is this occupation hiring, by looking at the demand decline list. But yes, unfortunately, employment statistics are always lagging reality by a little bit. We can't go any faster than that because of the way the system measures its data. So that's as good as we can do at this point. But like I say, in the next month, we will have new data, much more in tune with the current economic situation, because 2008 marked a decline in the economy. Certainly when we get 2009 figures, it will be even worse. But it'll be more accurate when you get the 2008 figures.
Has there any other comments or questions about, so it sounds like it's updated about once a year. Is that you intend to update this about once a year? And any other questions that people have about, one thing I was wondering about is, who do you contact? I was very interested in the Give Grants. I work with the Renew Washington, and some of our, I believe Dennis Frederickson at Spokane worked with the Workforce Development Council, and I believe Michelle Leninger at Pierce County Library also worked with the Workforce Development Council. If libraries were interested in partnering with the Workforce Development Council or getting grants, how would they go about approaching them? Who's the contact? How do you contact the Workforce Development Councils?
That's a great question, Carolyn. We don't have a link on the CareerBridge website to the Workforce Development Councils. I think if you bear with me, I'm going to click on this. I have to enter a URL. I can't do a Google on it. But if you just Google workforce, can I go Googling now? Okay, thanks. I'm going to try this really quickly with you guys. So I'm going to say Washington Workforce Development. I think it's association. Whoops, too many. Washington Workforce Association is there. They have really kind of a antiquated website, unfortunately, but did it go back? It went away.
Yeah, we're seeing.
Do you see that site? Yeah, it's kind of, I wish it looked a little better, but this is their site. We're going to click on it. So if you look here, go to, you can see that tab, I think, WDC directory. We're going to click on that together. Where? It's on the sidebar with all those blue links, okay?
Okay.
So when you do that, look at this map. Does this look familiar to you? It looks a lot like the CareerBridge map, doesn't it? It is. So if you click on wherever your region is, I noticed that, for example, someone was from Port Townsend. They could click on the Olympic Consortium here, and this gives you the name of the director, where it's located, and all that kind of contact information. So you may want to bookmark this page so you can find it again. But those are the workforce development councils that we have. That's a good question.
Thanks to Jeremy for showing us that in our in the chat window, and he also said that second link is the map link for doing the fresh searches. Is there anyone else who has any questions?
Is someone typing? If not,
okay. Well, I wanted to remind. Before she gets away, there is a book I want her to talk about. So here we go. I'm holding it up and shaking it because I don't want her to get away without talking about this book.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, I don't want to forget that. So among the many things that the Workforce Board does is we compile a list of all of the workforce programs in the state that receive state and federal funding. And we put this together every 2 years, and this is called the Workforce Development Directory. So we actually have a print copy of this directory, which a lot of workforce professionals use. But I think even better, and especially for your use, would be to use it, go to our website. We're going to take you to the Workforce Board agency website. We're going to go to www.wtb.wa.gov. Oh! It's like magic. Oh, I just clicked off of it. Dang it. Hold on here.
It's up for the rest of us, I think.
All right, hold on here. I'm going to get back.
She's getting back.
I'm going to come back. Because the nice thing about our Workforce Development Directory, did I do it wrong again?
Okay.
Sorry about that.
She's coming back, but this is the site, and I'm guessing that while she does that, I just quickly looked through it. And what I noticed was that it gave you some idea of how you might approach, if you're going to be doing this, this might be something that it would give you an idea. It has a section for, adult basic education, business enterprise. Well, it also has community service block grants. I mean, this is a pretty high level, but I'll let, okay, are you there?
I'm not, but I can just tell you, because I remember this, that when you go onto the Workforce Board's main website, which is www.wtb.wa.gov, I'll type this in so you guys have this.
She's typing that into chat, I believe.
Yeah. So when you go to that website, this is our state website, on the side tab, we actually have as a tab item, Workforce Development Directory, I believe. So Workforce Directory. So you can actually click on that tab in case you're trying to find this directory. It's right there on our home page, okay? So when you get to that, you can then see that, as Carolyn said, we divide it in different ways. Where you can look for, if you know the state agency, for example, you can sort by state agency. You can sort by the interest group. I'm going to click on it now. So adults, programs, adults with barriers, for example, if you're looking for someone who's got, maybe they're low income, maybe they have a disability, variety of things that are impeding them from getting a job, they would fall under that category. We also have an industry programs category, which again, the Workforce Board, not only are we working all the time to make sure people get the education and training they need to get a living wage job, but we work with employers to make sure that we know what employers need out of a skilled workforce. So it's a two-way street. We need to make sure we're supplying the types of skills that employers need, so we work with employers as well. So industry programs will talk about some of the types of programs that are available for your local business. So maybe you have a business that's out there, they need more skilled workers. They don't know how to pay for that, though. They could look in the Workforce Development Directory under industry programs, and they would see there's a customized training program, a job skills program. These are ways to help them pay to get a trained workforce that they need too. So it's more comprehensive. But yeah, this is a good starting point for people. You may say, okay, now I see this person might qualify for this program. Sometimes they may be then referred to Department of Social and Health Services, DSHS. Sometimes they might be referred to the WorkSource Center. But it gives them some extra knowledge about what they might qualify for. It's a good little. And the other thing that's cool about the Workforce Board's list here is that we update it in real time. We encourage people to tell us when changes are made so we can make those changes online. Obviously, once the print version's out, we can't make any changes. So this should be more up to date than our hard copy version.
I noticed that this was updated June 2010. It says right here in red. So it is a good one.
Pretty fresh. The other thing that we have, if you click on where you can see on this page, there's a 2010 poster on the right-hand side there. It says New 2010 Poster. This is a really great little poster that you can have. They're free, so if you want one, you can go down there and says order a free copy of the poster. But I just clicked out of it anyway. Anyway, that poster is just sort of the bigger programs that we have in Washington State, some of our bigger workforce programs. It helps you sort through that tangle of all these different programs, who they serve, what's their funding source. It can be very helpful to people, especially who are not necessarily in the quote-unquote workforce field, to understand workforce development.
Okay, any other questions? Do we have any questions? Jeremy, would you bring up Marina's contact slide again? So because, sometimes you go, oh, I wish I'd asked her. So there we go. There is her information. You can copy it down if you want to get in touch with her. And I want to thank you very much. Is there any other questions before I turn it over to Jennifer to talk about what is going to be happening at next First Tuesdays?
I also just want to say thank you guys for letting me do this presentation. I'm sorry if I stumbled around a little bit with it, but I really do encourage people to, email me. Oh, they're clapping. That's so nice. And give me a phone call. I love to get feedback. We want to always be improving our CareerBridge website. I love to give presentations on this that are in front of people. So if you get a large group of people you think would benefit, just give me a call, because we just want to make sure that everybody knows about this website and knows how to use it, because it is a consumer report. So let me just add, I don't think I said this in my presentation, but we were very excited because on Friday we learned that CareerBridge is a national award winner. Yes, we won an award from the Council of State Governments. So it was one of only 8 winners nationwide. So this is going to give us a little bit more momentum as we talk about this website.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, well, we just have a few minutes left, so if anyone does have anything, let's hear from Jennifer about, we have, I think, an interesting one happening next week. Jennifer.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, Marina, for that great presentation. And I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. And if you haven't already, let us know what library you're from and how many people are viewing this webinar. Please go ahead and send a chat message so we can capture those for our statistics. They're important for our keeping track of who all comes to this type of event and keeping it going into the future. Next month, in October, we are very pleased to have Martha Shinners from the Washington State Library come to talk about Summer Reading 2011. And that might sound like that's far away, but really it'll be here before we know it, and you'll get to have a sneak peek at the graphics and activities connected to summer reading, and I think that you will have a lot of fun with that one. And the manuals are due to arrive anytime now, so we'll get to take a look at some of the manual pieces. It's part of the Collaborative Summer Reading Program, which is that the State Library, through our LSTA funds, is able to purchase the Summer Reading Program manual and a CD of graphics for each library in the state of the public libraries. And then everyone has the same theme for summer reading. And it's expanded over the years so that it is indeed children's, but it's also teen and adult. So we'll be taking a look at children's, teen, and adult summer reading 2011. So we invite you to come back and see that great program. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And again, if you have any questions, you have Marina's email right there. Write it down and email her, and I know she'll get right back to you. So thanks again, and we hope to see you next month. And this will be archived, so if you have people who are unable to attend, they can, of course, do the